we took computer parts, like like a power supply on a computer, how it has all the wires and the colorful wires.
Yep.
We taped that into my locker. We taped it into the locker, took a cheeseburger, wrapped it around, and just duct taped it there. It's like, all right, we'll just leave it there. And then we left. 2 hours later, the school gets evacuated.
Welcome everybody. This is the Pathfinder Show. This is a space where we challenge societal myths, confining you to one path, and where we encourage you guys to try out new things. We're doing this by shedding some light on different people's stories, hopefully inspiring you guys to adventure out of your comfort zone. Today is episode 4, and this is where we're going to talk about unorthodox paths and things that aren't advertised in college catalogs. And we have 2 special guests with us today. But before we start that, my name is Valentina Gonzalez, and this is...
My name is Abhi Sastry.
And we are your co-hosts.
Right. So let's go ahead and get started, you guys. Joe and Brandon, it's a pleasure to have you guys on the show. Before we get into our topic for today, I really want to talk about who you guys are, what you guys do, what drives you. So Brandon, why don't you start and we'll move on to Joe.
All right, sounds good. So my name is Brandon Ferreira. I never went to school. I never went to college or anything. So right off the bat during high school, I started a film production company. I've been running it for at least 4 or 5 years. And then only 2 years ago, I joined the Navy because I hit a creative block. So I wanted to try something new in the whole engineering field. So I joined the Navy, and right now I'm actually in Yokohama, Japan. I've done 1 deployment so far in the South China Sea. I think, done 1 deployment, in our next deployment soon in 2 more months. And hopefully it's not a 6-month deployment like last time.
Sweet.
Oh, man, that's awesome. Well, hi, everybody. My name's Joe Sleppy. I'm the CEO of Capicitech Energy, which is a high-tech startup making a wire-shaped and flexible supercapacitor component here in Orlando, Florida. You know, I started my first business when I was in high school. And things that a lot of people don't know about me is I'm actually deaf and a type 1 diabetic. But despite that, I can hear you, I can speak perfectly, I can eat what I want, I'm healthy, and that's because of great innovators coming before me to make the world a little bit of a better place with their innovations. And starting when I was in high school, I started to get curious about this entrepreneurship thing. I wanted to start a business, and I wanted to make the world a better place and use my mind and my creativity to make the world a better place for other people. And entrepreneurship was such a natural calling to do that. And so started my first business when I was in high school to make hands-free fitness equipment for amputees. And then that turned into Capicitech, a high-tech energy storage, clean tech company when I was in college at the University of Central Florida. So really looking forward to the discussion that's going to come, and really glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. First, we just wanted to kind of go into more about who you guys are and your past and your childhood to kind of see where, like, how the influence of your childhood created you guys and how you guys are now. So if you guys could just go into a little bit more detail of, like, whether it's like when you were younger, how you were in high school, kind of your personality, all the different things that shaped you, or if there was anything specific that kind of bumped you into this road that you are in now. If you guys, Brandon, you could start.
I want details, by the way. I want, like, the cereal you ate, name the bully that bullied you. You know what I mean? I'm just messing around. Go ahead.
All right, sounds good. So I guess all the way from the beginning, I was born in Bronx, New York, then moved to Queens, and then I went to Montgomery High School in New Jersey, right in middle school. So when I was a kid, I always loved playing around with cameras and just loved watching movies, music videos. Back in middle school, when MTVs used to actually have music videos on MTV, I used to love watching so many different types of music videos, and that's how I got, like, the music taste I have today. So from, like, high school, I started filming like just music videos for any random bands or, like, random people, small YouTubers or anything like that. Throughout high school, I used to do all that, and then I took it seriously senior year in high school. And then from there, I actually developed I put a Facebook page together, and then people from outside my own town and even the state started contacting me. Hey, we want a music video like that. hey, we want a music video like that. So it started building up from there. And then once I started getting like a good clientele of music videos, my best friend was getting he's outside he lives in out in New Jersey. He's not in my high school, but he was getting married and he knew I had a camera and could film. So it's like, hey, you want to film my wedding? I was like, hey, I've never done a wedding before, but I'll just give it a shot. So I did all my research on YouTube and everything. Everything I learned was either from like by just doing it out in the field or literally by YouTube. So I went and Google searched YouTube on how to film wedding videos and things like that. So I filmed his wedding, and next thing you know, it came out. It was my first wedding, but it came out actually pretty good. And then I used that as advertisement on my Facebook page, and then started just building a portfolio off of weddings. And then next thing you know, his friends wanted wedding videos, and then outside source, more people wanted wedding videos. And then since I think 2014, 2015, that's when I started building up as the wedding video company. So that's when I solely did like videos for like weddings. And after that, this more corporate work and sporting events and things like that. So
oh man, that's so cool. And if I could point out something that's so damn cool about that, Avi, I think you've seen me give these entrepreneurship lectures before, and I'm all the time just like telling 16, 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old kids, just do it. Just go do it. Like, dude, why are you thinking? Look it up on YouTube and do it. And like your entire story is just like, well, I did it.
Yeah.
I love that you said that, bro.
That's just continual learning. That was awesome.
I love that because, you know, execution is really like a lot of fucking great ideas in the world. Execution is what brings it through. YouTube University, bro, fixing my car, fixing the fucking leak in my sink, YouTube University all the way.
Anything. You can use YouTube for anything nowadays.
My parents used to always joke because I'd like in middle school, I'd watch so much YouTube. They'd be like, oh, are you going to go to YouTube University? And I always joke. I was like, I tell them back, I'm like, I should have gone to YouTube University. Y'all probably would have been more rich than you are now, you know, like shit. But all right, continue.
Yeah, man.
So from there, I've been shooting weddings for at least 4 years now. And then I actually hit a creative block around 2018 or 2017, 2018. I started hitting a creative block. I was like, all right, all my videos are starting to look kind of the same. I need to do something totally different with my life. And also, when I was doing these weddings, think about it, I'm like 19, 20, 21 at the time. I'm going to weddings, showing up with my gear and everything with like photographers that are in their 50s or 60s. And they're looking at me like I'm the young guy. I'm probably not gonna have a good product, but then once they see at the end of the video, they're like, oh wow, okay, this guy has talent. So I was just thinking about that, like, all right, so I can do this like my whole life. But like once I hit that creative block, I needed to do something totally different. And joining the military was always something I always wanted to do. I just didn't know when to do it. So after I hit that creative block, around 2019, May 2019, I joined in the Navy as a machinist mate, nuclear powered. So what I do now is I'm a nuclear engineer on a nuclear power ship in Yokosuka, Japan for the US CVN 76 USS Ronald Reagan on an aircraft carrier. So right now I'm doing nuclear mechanics and things like that. So I was always into like engineering and things like that. And then that's what I signed up for. So right now I'm just in the Navy for 2 more years, and I'm just gonna go straight back home and do the same thing I've been doing before. So
yeah. Hey, can I ask, you know, that you called it the creative block. Was it a creative block, or was it just you got tired of producing the same? I mean, like there's only so many ways to film a wedding, or maybe that's a totally naive statement from my own. I don't know. I've never done that before. So like, is it the monotony of the project got old for you and you got tired of doing it, or did you actually feel like you were making a subpar product, which is what I think of when you say a creative block?
So when I was doing weddings, like there was a time that I was getting like very, like I had good clientele. Like I was shooting 2-3 weddings every single weekend, 24, like all like 365 days. Like, so once you do like, if you're going back to another wedding, you start like just like doing the same thing over and over. And I just wanted to get away from that because I wanted to be different, not the same, because I want to make sure the previous client doesn't see the other videos like, hey, that looked like my video. and things like that. Even though the music and the people and everything are different, it's just like the way it flows.
Yeah.
It's just started to blend in together. So I just wanted to do something totally different to get my mind off of it. So that's when I got into like mechanical engineering.
And one thing I want to bring home, and Joe, we haven't forgot about in your intro, bro. Like, so I just want to let you know that. But one thing, and I think Joe, you'll feel this. I felt it too when Brendan said it. He felt like he was sometimes the youngest man in the room.
Yeah.
Joe, I know
really
you felt that
understandable.
shit too, bro. I know you felt that too. The in the predicament that we were in, I think that comes out, and I think that's, I mean, some of these investor meetings, some of these pitches, when you're speaking to vendors and they're like, wait, this is the CEO or this is this executive, and they're like, how old are you? And I get this conversation. It's difficult in our industry because once you say your age, they might judge you based off your age, right? They might take advantage, or they might say a joke or dismantle things, and you just got to go in there and keep it headstrong. But when you said that, I felt it, man. But Joe, please feel free to take it away.
Yeah, well, I started the story talking about how I was in high school, and I was in all the hardest classes I could take. It was AP calculus, AP physics, and I'm pretty sure there was a chemistry class, and AP US history and language arts. I'm doing all the things that people say to do, and I was in sports. I swam, I played baseball, I was in track, I was in field. I mean, I was involved. I was in lacrosse. I mean, like I was involved. And yet I still kind of felt like I was always about to maybe get myself in trouble or something like that. Like my boredom wasn't brewing the right way. And I realized that it's just fortunate that I understand math. But I remember sitting in calculus thinking, like, we did limits last week. Why are we still doing limits? And like that, but like I was there and I just kind of felt like I need to do something else, or I'm gonna do something wrong sitting here going over limits for the second time, right? So I'm in class and I'm a junior in college, and I'm a junior in high school, and I see this program come up. It's a competition, and I'm in the engineering program at my high school, and they say, hey, there's this competition. It's called the Next Generation Entrepreneurs Program. And, basically winner gets 10 grand. We're all going to do a Shark Tank type deal. It's going to be county wide. Winner gets 10 grand. And I thought, well, okay, like, I'm no different than the other guy. Let me put my name on a piece of paper. And Avi, if you and I saw my original proposal, we would laugh right now. It was something like, it was so much earnest, corny marketing words. Like, I need to go find it, man, because it is terrible. It is terrible, right? And I make this pitch to talk about making a hands-free exercise device for people that don't have a hand. If you don't have a hand, oh man, like, how would you do push-ups? At the time, I'm doing like an hour of planks and push-ups before swim practice every day. And I'm thinking there's no way to do that, right? So, you've got that. And I wanted to make the world a better place. And I realized that there were a lot of innovations that enabled my life. And I wanted to be able to return that favor. And so I'm just sitting here, I'm like, there's an opportunity. So I just did. I put my name on the application. I get accepted as one of the top 10 applicants. And then I started working with this guy named Kurt Long. If you don't know who Kurt Long is, look him up. This guy is awesome. All right. And he took time out of his day while he was a CEO of a company called Fair Warning. And he took his time out of his day to mentor me and 10 other students about how to start a business using the lean startup methodology, right? The business model canvas stuff. That's the first time I heard about that when I was 15 years old. And I'm just sitting here and I'm like, all right, well, this is different. I'm not an expert in this. This isn't limits for the second week in a row, right? But I'm starting to get really engaged. I'm getting into this. Well, turns out I win the competition. And I get $10,000 and I actually remember, this is hilarious, Avi. You know me, so you'll find this is almost laughable. But the program directors invite me in for this meeting, and they say, like, okay, hey, you won. We're going to give you the $10,000. Oh, would you rather us send it to your university as a scholarship? I got bright futures. Like, I don't need you to send $10,000 to the university. They got enough money. I'm starting a business, right?
They put that shit in my account.
Yeah, please wire that to my Growth Financial local credit union. And so, I start a business, and I'm learning it on the fly, problem solution, value proposition. Of course, it's hardware, so I'm trying to figure out manufacturing. I'm working with a local vendor, a local seamstress to help me put these straps together. Man, and like, that was a whirlwind. I started filing my first intellectual property utility patent. I'm 15 years old. I'm writing a utility patent. Like, what the hell is going on? But like, also the entire time, like, Kurt instilled the confidence in me that Nike logo, like, just do it. Like, you can do it. Who cares that you're 16? Like, just do it. And in fact, I'll tell you who cares that I was 16. The state of Florida had to have my father sign as a guardian when I was registering my business, because you can't enter contracts when you're not 18. So that was a fun, like, learning curve. But man, I start the business. I fall in love with entrepreneurship. I'm generating maybe $10,000 a year in revenue for this company. It was called Sleppy Solutions. Making, basically, if you ever seen TRX or suspension training, it was a hands-free version of TRX. That's what my product was. And you know, I get to college. I'm a freshman. I'm 18 years old now, and I realize $10,000 a year of revenue doesn't cover rent. And there's not that many people in the world that don't have a hand. There's people in the world that don't have. Don't get me wrong. There was a market, but it's not a market that I'm going to be able to saturate to the extent that I can support my business and my employees and all of this, right? So at that time, I'm a freshman at UCF. I knew I was in love with engineering. In fact, I was in the engineering program at my high school. But also, I remember this time in my physics class, we learned about electromotive forces. And they basically said, if you take a coil of wires and you move it through a magnetic field, there's energy induced and the electrons flow through the coil of wires. And I thought that was the coolest thing I'd ever heard. Like, it is the coolest thing I've ever heard. Like, just think about that. You move a wire and you get energy. That's ridiculous. And so I spent my lunch period, and I built, basically out of Lowe's popsicle sticks, like Lowe's paint sticks. And I built this gizmo, this contraption, where I had two electric magnets on each side of what looks like a pendulum. And I used a permanent magnet as the weight of the pendulum, and I coiled really, really tightly a bunch of magnetic wire around the stick connecting the pendulum to the top. And the idea was, as the pendulum flows, this magnetic coil of wire would flow through a magnetic field, inducing energy and sending it to the electric magnet. So while it's flowing one direction, it's getting pulled to that direction. Once it stops, then the energy stops, so the magnet turns off and it goes the other way. Right. And so I was getting obsessed with this idea, and I was able to make it work so that the pendulum would flow 1 or 2 times more than if it was just gravity on its own. And I thought that slight concept of energy was so cool. Like, did I just create energy and recycle it and repurpose it? And so when I got to college, I knew there was 3 paths, right? First choice, get an electrical engineering degree and go work for Lockheed. Okay, that's great. My dad did that. He worked for Raytheon for 35 years. Awesome. Not that excited to do that, though. So second thing, go get a PhD. Maybe, I don't know. I'm 19. I'm 18. I'm 19. I don't know if that's something I want to do. Or maybe start a tech company that has a bigger market than my last company did. And so I thought a great way to position myself as a resume builder, if I ever want to get a job, or a great way to position myself to start a tech company, or a great way to get into a PhD program, or even any kind of graduate school program, would let me do some undergraduate research. And so my high school, I'm so sorry, my physics professor at college invited me into a meeting, and she was working with me on this assignment. She goes, "What do you want to do?" And I told her, "Man, I want to be involved in clean tech. I want to work with energy storage and solar cells." And she goes, "Okay, I'm going to get you an interview tomorrow. Make sure you show up." I'm like, "Wow, okay." And I have an interview with this lab that makes perovskite solar cells, thin, flexible, and transparent solar cells, and also supercapacitors. And I hadn't even heard of a supercapacitor at this point. I mean, I'm 19, and I start working in this lab, and about 6 months go by working with this lab, and the professor hears about my entrepreneurship experience from high school. And he says, "Hey, we got this innovation in the lab. It got a lot of attention in the media back while I was still in high school." He goes, "Well, I'd like to see this be a real product in the market. Maybe you and I can join the University of Central Florida I-Corps program together and see if there's some business potential." I was like, "Sure, great." And fast forward another year, that's actually the technology that I licensed to start Capicitech, and that's what we're still working with. So, real long-winded road, but it's interesting how each little step put me in a position to be where I'm at now, right? And so, yeah, it's been really exciting all around.
Wow, that's crazy. Did you know from the beginning that, I mean, you said this was very interesting to you, but did you have like a vision of this is what I wanted to do? Like, did you ever imagine yourself doing what you're doing now when you were younger?
I don't want to say I had ever imagined this specifically, but I knew that I wanted to do something that helps people. I knew I wanted to have a positive impact on the world. And I knew that I love uh, relationship development. I like working with people. I like being able to be charismatic. And so I knew that, working in something like clean tech checks those boxes and something that I can be open and transparent about. And so being a tech CEO, like it's your job to go communicate the vision and rally people around it. And I really like that part of it. So I think that the underlying characteristics of what I wanted to do were always there, but I didn't quite recognize this was it until I started doing research at the university.
Can I ask you guys? Very interesting. Brandon, you told me that you didn't even go to school, right? And
Yeah.
Joe, you were kind of transitioning before we started. We kind of talked about we went to school because of our folks, kind of a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you're that at that young age, a lot of people don't question it. No, a lot of people don't question school, right? So Brandon, tell me why you chose fuck school. And Joe, tell me about your thought process. Did you ever question college at all? Or I remember, Joe, you told me something that sticks me to this day. You might not even remember this. You said, why did you get the degree? It's because you wanted to learn the vocabulary just so you can talk about it.
Yeah.
You remember that? I remember that. So Brandon, please start, and then Joe right after.
Yeah, so I grew up, so both my parents are both entrepreneurs. They run their own businesses too. So my dad's a trucker. He does his own business. And then my mom's also an accountant. So she knows how to like deal with money and then things like that. So she does her own thing. So it was around junior year, senior year. I've always, all the way from the beginning, I always hated school. I just did not see the point of sitting in the class and learning things that I didn't want to do. So like I knew from like sophomore or junior year, I wanted to get into like the film industry and just go out there and just film. I asked my parents for advice, like, hey, so I want to like do film full time and I don't want to go to school because I know it's gonna like slow me down at least like 4 years to like, if I build a business now since I'm young, it'll grow up eventually within a few years. And it did. After I left high school, all I did since then was filming full time. So my parents helped me how to build a business, how to market myself, and things like that. And then also, again, I did everything off of YouTube. I learned how to build a portfolio, build like a reel, like a whole show reel on like all your different things that you filmed. So my parents, so I did actually go to Raritan Valley Community College for 1 year. So I went there for 1 year and then I started getting busy with work because work was more important to me than going to class. So I'm like, all right, screw it. I can't sit here in classes. So I just like dropped out of the college and then went straight to just working full time. And then since then everything has been going really super well. So I'm happy about that. So I think going to school. So for me, like in the film industry, if you go to school, you'll have to go to a big school that you actually have to pay out of pocket because there's no scholarships for film schools. And the things from film schools, they teach you how to film like almost like TV shows and directing and things like that. I didn't want to get into the TV show or the movie industry. I wanted to get to almost like the personal things like music videos, people for like, I could interact with people with music videos, wedding videos, sporting events. I had 2 contracts with Princeton University doing all their wrestling videos for 2 years. So I did things like that you can't go for school for. If you want to get into school for something I did, you'll have to go to film school, business school, and also a marketing class or things like that. So again, I learned off of my parents helped me, like they helped me a lot with the marketing and business end while I just took care of the creative end, things like that.
And so my question is, did you know when you were younger that this is something that you wanted to do? Because I remember like
SnapX, yeah.
in high school. And I remember like everything, I don't know. I mean, I like seeing all the different pranks that you guys were doing and all that stuff in high school. And in the back of my mind, I was like, all right, you're definitely not like fitting into the mold of the normal person. Like you're not meant to do the normal path, which I've always really valued because I think it's usually the people that don't fit into the mold and do all that crazy stuff and rebel that end up creating really creative things and innovation. So So did you know that you had that in you? Did you know you were special, and you know that you wanted to go off the normal path when you were younger?
So I remember I took my first TV production class in sophomore year with Mr. Brooks. Um, I did we were supposed to do like a group project. I was actually supposed to do a music video because that was my assigned project. It's like, all right, that's easy. I can music videos I see on MTV all the time. So like I mimic what they did. So it was sophomore year that I did my first music video, and I handed in my project, and our teacher was like, Brandon, this is probably the best thing I've ever seen. I'm like, wait, really? It's like, yeah, as a student, this is the best project I've ever seen. Like, it's very well played out and everything. And I learned everything off of YouTube and copied off of MTV music videos and things like that. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm actually, all right, I'm good at doing this. So then I got more projects and more projects in high school. I actually took over the whole TV Pro introductions. So I did all like the videos for introductions and everything. And everything came out pretty well. And then my teacher took me to the side and said, hey, you have a future in like film and like art and things like that. You should pursue it. And this was sophomore year. Then junior year came, I got more into it. Filmed my friend's Sweet 16, did that, and then it just started building off from there. So I felt like, I think after my teacher pulled me to the side sophomore year, that's when I started figuring out, I was like, all right, this is the path I want to do. Because before I had no idea what I was going to do, because I hated school, so I did not want to be there. So that was that.
Can I point something out here? Oh, it's a very similar experience for me. My language arts teacher, my history teacher, my math teacher, especially my physics teacher in high school, they all encouraged me to be ambitious and like go for it. Even I remember the principal at one point was just like, yeah, like keep doing it, man. Like, yeah, you're not following a specific thing, but go for it, do it. And like I hear you saying that your teachers were encouraging and gave you compliments like, hey, you're good at this. And I got a lot of the same. And it's just a point, like, teachers, tell your kids when they do well. You know,
Yeah.
like I hear so many stories like, oh, my math teacher was really mean and horrible. And it's like, okay, like that's the only story we ever hear. So I just want to point out, like, we're two successful young men and we're both pointing to our high school physics teachers, or I'm sorry, our high school teachers to help instill the confidence in us that we're still working off of, that really launched both of our early careers. So I think that's a really cool part of your story.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of, not much people appreciate their teachers, but like little things like that. Yeah. When the teacher pulled me aside, that was the key that opened up everything else.
Yeah. I wonder how COVID and virtual school, how that would still.
Yeah, exactly. And also that's the thing. I joined the military in May of 2019, and it was around December 2019 that COVID broke out. Mm-hmm. So I was already in the military. We're doing our thing, but I know, like, I was thinking, if I was back home during the pandemic, no one was going to be having weddings. Ooh. So business would have actually like slowed down a lot for me for like at least for a full year probably. But I was like, this is actually perfect timing. I joined the military, so I actually bypassed that. By the time I come back, everything will be back to normal. So I was like, oh wow, this is definitely a gift.
Yeah, man, talk about a blessing, right?
Yeah, honestly.
I was gonna add in there you remember Mr. Stern in high school?
Yeah.
He was like the only teacher that really ever like recognized me for like doing good work. And from that, I think that's one of the reasons that I did go to college and why I went into mechanical engineering. And I question it all the time. I'm like, shit, should I have listened? But yeah, I definitely feel like that recognition, especially when you're young, like I didn't know what I wanted for myself. And I also wasn't super confident that what I was doing or who I was something that had value. Like I had a lot of insecurities and a lot of fears. And I always think like, I wish someone would have like just recognized me a little bit for anything. Like, and how as I was saying about you, Brandon, like how you had like that rebelliousness to you, and you did the pranks, and you just were always in the hallway and like making everybody laugh. I remember that one prank that you did with the locker and I don't know if it was like a potato with it
was a cheeseburger.
The whole
Tell us about it. I want to hear that.
Oh, okay.
Tell us.
Around, it was like what was it, 2012, 2013, when like when YouTube videos were like pounding in with prank videos and things like that. So I used to film a lot of prank videos while I was in high school. And so me and my friend were like, hey, what could we do? Because I was a senior at the time and we had 3 weeks left of school. I was like, hey, what can we do as our final like prank or whatever? So it was a really bad idea and a bad timing of this whole thing. And at the time, it wasn't like a big thing. So we took computer parts, like like a power supply on a computer, how it has all the wires and the colorful wires.
Yep.
We taped that into my locker. We taped it into the locker, took a cheeseburger, wrapped it around, and just duct taped it there. It's like, all right, we'll just leave it there. And then we left. 2 hours later, the school gets evacuated. And then me and my friend were
everyone knew it was you. Like everyone knew it was you.
Me and my friend were looking at each other. It's like, why is the school getting evacuated? And it's like, yo, it was probably the cheeseburger. They probably thought it was something else. And it's like, oh yeah, it's not a good idea. Yeah, we're screwed. So it was the next day. We all got evacuated from the school, and they sent us straight home without getting our stuff. So the next day, me and my friend were both like terrified. We were scared, like, oh my God, this is like some like CSI stuff. Like this is really scary. And so me and him, we turned ourselves in the next day, straight in the morning. We turned ourselves in. It's like, hey, what the thing yesterday had to do anything with the cheeseburger on my locker? It's like, yeah. And the thing is, they would have never had caught us because we had no cameras in our school. So we would have never had gotten caught. But me and my friend were so scared that we turned ourselves in right away, and we told them everything. And so they gave us like a little leeway and everything's like, all right, we're gonna tell the police that. And like, wait, police? What do you mean the police? Yeah, because the bomb squad was there. Like, oh. So they called the police, they arrested us, and then after court and everything, me and him got 50 hours of community service, and I did my service time in my church.
Hey, at least it's beautiful. You end up doing some volunteer work for the church, and you get this story, which was also perfectly positioned in the sense that Abi makes cooling components for computer parts, and Joe makes energy storage in the form of a wire that goes into that wire harness you were just referring to. So I think this is all on purpose. This is all a big circle.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
Absolutely insane, you guys. One thing I wanted to bring it back a little bit. We're talking about unconventional paths, and things you guys have been saying are freakishly unconventional. I mean, you guys know that. You guys, both of you guys know that, and me and Valentina have been. That's why I've been quiet, because I'm like, damn, these stories are different segues coming through. I always talk about the path to whatever success, right? However someone measures success is a fucking jagged ass line, right? It looks like GME a couple of weeks ago. But, I wanted to ask, when you're considering when finding a path, right? You guys had a different way of considering that for yourselves, right? Either someone gave you some feedback or you were like, hey, I like this. What would you tell someone else when they're considering an unconventional path? Because most of the time it's going to be from either their parents judging them or their fucking, their peers at school. They're like, hey man, maybe you shouldn't do that, bro. You know what I mean? I'm sure you guys heard that, right? What were some times, can you tell the audience, because I really want to bring value, of how you guys shut that voice out a little bit?
Yeah. If you don't mind, Brandon, I'll go first.
Yeah, go for it.
I think that in pretty much all of my decisions in life, right? Like, am I going to eat that peanut butter and jelly sandwich, the Chipotle bowl, or a cheeseburger? Like, it's which one of those is going to be the most life-giving? Like, which one is going to bring me unrelenting joy? I'm not talking about moments of happiness. I'm talking about baseline happiness, baseline joy. And I remember in high school, you would go do something and you would get this quick high, and then it would just implode. It would disappear overnight, and I would say, like, when you're thinking about what do you want to do for the rest of your life, or for the next decade, or even for the next 5 years in Brandon's case, before you go to the military, like, what is the thing that's going to ignite your sense of adventure, your sense of love, your sense of passion, your underlying baseline joy levels? What's going to give you life? What's going to make you feel alive? And, you know, one of the things I like to do is I like to go on a run. I like to go biking. I like to go hiking. I like to go camping. I do these things because they make me feel really connected to the earth, but they make me feel good, healthy, alive, active, right? And, you know, that story of starting a business when I was in high school, pitching my concept and laying out this vision, regardless of how ridiculous it might be, makes me feel alive. I love it. I love envisioning the future, and I love trying to build the future. Actually, it's one of our little internal slogans at Capicitech is build the future you want to live in, right? Like build it. And again, Nike, just do it, right? And so, you know, I think that recognizing that I had a passion for communicating big ideas, and that I loved getting up on stage and trying to share my vision with other people and wrestle with the holes in it, because you know there's holes in it, right? Like wrestle with those holes and then trying to patch them and really continue to evolve and grow with your business. Like that made me feel really alive. It was it's a problem or a challenge that you're not going to master, right? Like one of the things that I kind of don't like about video games is they always end, right? Like you win eventually. You get the hardest level, and you win. I love MLB The Show. My team has won every World Series for like 30 years straight. I mean, like I can't do anything, right? And so like with entrepreneurship, there's going to be another challenge, another thing you have to learn. Right now, I'm diving really deep about marketing and communication and PR and doing that on a digital front, which I've never done before at this scale. So I'm learning something new, right? Last week, I was doing R&D and thinking about material science and flexibility and electronics, right? Like the job keeps evolving, and that change and that ability to stoke my own curiosity and satisfy my desire to not have the same thing being done every single day really makes me feel alive, keeps me really happy and engaged with my job. I can measure my impact. I can see how I rub off on others. I mean, yourself included. You quoted me back to me like 5 minutes ago, man. I love that. That was great. I'm so happy that I was able to share something with you that meant something to your life and stuck with you, because I don't remember saying when I said that to you, but I definitely know that talking about college and vocabulary, that is 100% something I say, right? So yeah, you know, I think that what helped me not just go to school, get an electrical engineering degree, and then apply for jobs was this decision-making process based in what is life-giving, what makes me happy, what makes me fall in love with every single moment of the day. And you know, I think that that's satisfied with entrepreneurship, and I love Capacitech, man. I love the future that I'm trying to build. I'm so excited about it, and being excited about something that you're building means that you're excited about tomorrow, and it's a good feeling going to sleep being excited about tomorrow.
Nice.
That's awesome. My heart just like felt that.
Good.
Amazing.
It's like asking a boxer, why do you go into the ring and you like getting your face beat in? Some people will say, no, that's not the point, bro. You got to beat their face in. And some people will be like, no, I like taking those punches. Like for me is, you know, I like my face. You know what I mean? So I'll be like, nah, man, I'm good. But the punches I like to roll with is like, oh, there's a problem. Let's go about it. I love hearing, I love the skeptics on my team because they deserve their role. Right. Their role isn't very important. Hey, maybe we shouldn't do this. We shouldn't do that. And it comes with experience. But I love the ability to tackle creative problems. I think on that front, it excites me. So I definitely hear you there too. But Brandon, I'd love your 2 cents too on the matter, man.
Yeah. So I know like my path that I took was so unconventional. I didn't want to go to school. I didn't want to sit in the class anymore. I just wanted to go out, do things, meet new people, do whatever that I wanted to do. So for some advice for other people that want to do the same thing, I say find something that you're very passionate about, because once you're passionate about something, you're not going to stop it until, like, even if people tell you not to do it, don't do it. Just keep doing it. Just keep doing it and don't give up, because the biggest regret that you're going to have is that you didn't do it. So you just want to keep doing what you want to do or what you're passionate about. Like for me, like my point where I was like, I didn't know what I was going to do in my life was junior year. And it was literally my teacher that told me, you have an art for this, do it. And that gave me so much motivation just to go from there. Because not much teachers liked me in high school because I used to do a lot of prank stuff in high school. But my TV production teacher loved me because he saw what I really like to do and what I'm really good at. So he took the time and like talked to me and my parents like, hey, he has a path for this, do it. So that actually gave me so much motivation to pursue what I was doing even till now. So I gotta say, like, hands down to the teacher to like actually take his time and tell me what to do. I would tell like he basically like show me what I have, because like if he never told me that, I honestly didn't know what I was gonna do till senior year. And coming out of high school, I was probably just gonna join the military and just probably go to Marines and like just shoot guns and stuff like that. But right now since I was much older when I joined in, now I know like the different type of jobs in the Navy. So even if you have no path, that you don't know what to do, um go to like a recruiting office and like take an ASVAB. So an ASVAB is basically a test of general knowledge of everything. Um, it tests you on basically everything that you learned in school or even street knowledge and things like that. It's a 4-hour test, and it basically graphs you on like what you're really good at. If you're good at math, you'll be doing communications and things like that. If you're good at electronic stuff, like you do IT work or combat systems, things like that, or even engineering. Or if you're like a hands-on, like basically you like to shoot guns, you could just be a GM and gunner's mate or things like that. So I took that test. I don't know what I was going to do in the Navy. I was always interested in engineering stuff. So I took the test, and basically I scored very high in mechanical and street knowledge side portion of things. And that gave me a list of jobs of all engineering jobs. So then they gave me a job, and then I basically struck out mechanical, was machinist mate nuclear. So I picked that job. It was like, all right, I'll learn nuclear power, something I don't know anything about. But yeah, basically if you're ever passionate about like something, you want to start something, just do it. If you have no path and you really don't know what you're gonna do, just talk to your parents, things like that. Or even just go to a recruiting office, take the test. And it doesn't mean you take the test, doesn't mean you're in the Navy or any military branch. You just took a test and you can always back out of it. But they seem like they're very they're also businessmen too. They want to get you in, but you always have the right to say, no, I don't want to do it, and just leave. But actually I say my breaking point was when my teacher pulled me to the side and told me, hey, you're good at this, do it. And after that, I just full send it. I just didn't stop it. And no, I don't care what what everyone else said. I just basically just went for it and just got it.
You're looking for your passion, and you're discovering your passion, finding things that make you happy, and the things that are life-giving. Unfortunately, I've noticed, like when I was working at Blackstone Launchpad, there were a lot of students that I would talk to that knew what their passion was, knew what made them feel alive, but had an excuse for why they didn't want to pursue it. And I just want to say, start when the only authority you need to chase your passion is that it's your passion. You don't need a degree. You don't need someone's stamp of approval. You don't need anything to start pursuing that passion. And I'd argue, start pursuing that passion as early as possible. And it's just because this is my field, entrepreneurship. If you start a business when you were 16 years old and it fails, thank God your parents are probably still feeding you. You know, like if you start one when you're 45 and it fails, that's a very different life situation than if you start one when you're 15 or 16, you know. And it's just unfortunate that I've spoken with some students that felt like they needed the degree in order to start the IT consulting company. I mean, your degree will certainly add some kind of credibility to your knowledge base, but go start pursuing it now. You know, you don't go to school and take classes and sit in a room and never try to connect with your classmates, never try to connect with your professors, never try to connect with an internship or a mentor, or try and start a business or do anything and wait for some form of validation to chase your passion. You don't need any validation. You don't need any permission. Your permission, your authority is what you feel in your heart. Go for it. Do it now, do it early, and it will only give you more and more experience. And it might even show you that that thing that you're passionate about isn't the thing you're the most passionate about, you know, and that's useful to know too. So start early, start young, and start with intention. Don't kind of, you know, half-ass the approach.
Oh, and then also like a big thing that I noticed about a lot of people is they don't know what they're doing and they just apply to a college and just get any major or anything. One, you're spending a lot of money in college, and then you realize you don't like what you're doing at all, and then you just wasted so much money and so much time. Yeah. Time is very fragile.
Some parents are not even paying for their kids' tuition. They're taking on all this debt, fucking hurting some people, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I knew I didn't want to go to school. So I didn't even tell my, hey, don't worry about spending money on sending me to school because I'm not gonna like it. So they agreed with me. It's like, oh yeah, we're not gonna spend money if you know you're not gonna like school. So that's when they gave me so much like courage and like help and everything for trying to start a business off while I was a senior in high school. So that's another like thing that also helped me a lot. My parents helped me because they're both entrepreneurs as well. And only my mom went to college. My dad didn't either. My dad just went off of like everything, like just learning off of other people and doing his own thing. So he has a lot of street knowledge on how to run a business. And then my mom went to school for accounting and psychology. Yeah, she went to psychology school too. So she has a lot of background knowledge and things like that. And then it was basically your parents will also like help you if you're passionate about something. Your parents or even teachers, everyone will help you to get on the right path.
You know, one thing I want to say about that real quick is you guys both said it in two different ways. There's no need to convince someone about your passion. I'm not in the business of convincing people, right? Even in sales, if you're running for office or campaign, I always, you know, we heard this before. There's 3 different campaigns, right? People that will vote for you, people that's on the fence, and people that won't vote for you, right? Your passion, your energy should be people on the fence, and the other 2 is either way. So I love that. There should be no explanation. This is my passion. This is what I love to do. 2 small things I want to go about it, and Valentina, I'll let you take over. Joe, I need that first business plan of your first pitch competition, man. and Brandon, I need the prank video YouTube links, bro. Come on now. You guys can't just say this and not send it over. I'm going to bother you guys about that later because I think that's going to be pretty funny. But Valentina, please take it away.
Oh, I just wanted to add in something from the conversation we just had. And it was like, I've been talking to a lot of people lately about just like freedom and choosing their paths and doing what they want to do, what makes them happy. And 2 things, personally, when I was in high school, and I kind of like Brandon, what you said is like, they didn't know what they want to do and they just go into college. That was kind of me. Like, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but I knew that I wanted to grow and do something. I just didn't know what that something was. And I feel like I still question that about myself. Like, what is it that I really want? Because I don't have like that one thing that I'm super passionate about. And I mean, even though like I always say people are my passion. So that is something that I think people struggle with, is figuring out that passion, because some people are blessed with like clear direction and they're like obsessed with one thing and they know that that's their one thing. But when they're not, or they're like obsessed with like 10 things and they don't know which one to choose because they're not like super obsessed with one. I think that's kind of like a struggle that pauses people and really puts on the brakes so that they go off and take action on something. But kind of what I've been realizing is that you just kind of got to go for whatever thing makes you move, right? Anything that motivates you, just go for it. And then like you just kind of course correct and figure out if that was it. And if not, then you just drop it and start something else, right? And then the other thing was, a lot of people don't have that support from their family. A lot of people have. I was talking to my doctor the other day, and I told her like my plans after college, and she was like, man, like I wish I could do that. Like my parents would never let me do that, and they told me this and that. And so I feel like parents don't always support you, and a lot of people are very kind of tied to their family and their parents and their expectations, and it's hard for them to break away. So do you guys have any like advice on that, or anything, any thoughts of what you guys tell your friends, or if you guys have seen your friends kind of play that role, like what you guys say to them?
Yeah, well, I mean, you're absolutely right. Like I was extremely supported by my parents. My parents were excited about my business when I was 16. They were excited about my next business when I was 19. You know, I'll call them and tell them, hey, I wrote this article. What do you think? And they'll be like, oh, that looks great. then again, they're not paying my rent. So I wouldn't imagine why they wouldn't be supportive of what I'm doing right now. And if you don't have support from your parents, the next thing, okay, what about your teachers? What about mentors? For example, Kurt, even if my parents were not encouraging of my first business, Kurt, my mentor when I was starting my business in high school, was extremely enthusiastic, very encouraging, and very supportive. So, maybe it's not from your family, but there is a support system out there. And, Abi, you were not around when this time was going on, but Blackstone Launchpad, when I was a freshman, sophomore year, I remember there was this like roundtable discussion, and I'm not a part of any kind of Greek life or affiliated with anything like that. But I remember in this roundtable discussion, I was like, hey, you guys are my frat. Like, you guys are my support system, my community. And like, Abi, you and I, like, that we support each other. Same thing with Mason, same thing with David. Like, there is still a community, even though like we're all kind of at different stages now, And so I would say, not having family support is absolutely, something that has to be overcome, right? But it's not impossible to find support somewhere else, and I know that there's a lot of families where the child is expected to be a doctor, expected to be a lawyer, and if you're not, well, then you're not a success in the eyes of the family, right? And that is going to lead to some tough conversations. And I remember talking to a CEO when I was I think I was 18. I was freshman year at UCF. He was a guest speaker at the university, and he was talking about how his parents did not support him doing a business route and starting a business. And the way that he dealt with it is he kept his head down, kept working. And as the fruits of his labor and as the fruits of his, and as he started to achieve these successes and being recognized as, Orlando's 30 under 30 and things like that, all of a sudden it's a different conversation. And something that's hard about being a startup is you say like, oh, I'm a startup founder. Most people, especially if you're trying to go on dates, are just like, oh, so you're unemployed. No, like I'm starting something, damn it, and so like I think families must hear that too. Like, oh my goodness, like my son, he's 23, he's about to graduate, and he's doing this startup route. Like, is he going to be okay? So I would even recommend that maybe your parents not being supportive or your family not being supportive. Ask yourself what their motivation is. Is it because they love you so damn much that they don't want to see you suffer? Because if you look at it from that perspective, maybe that actually encourages the relationship and motivates you to make sure that they never have to deal with that hurt, right? And so I think that's changing the perspective about why is my family not encouraging me to follow this passion, but instead recognizing their perspective in it might help you sympathize and even reconcile with them. Then use that as a way to ignite your passion and keep you going forward on that unconventional path. And the same thing with if you surround yourself with another layer of community, another layer of teachers, another layer of colleagues, peers, and mentors, that passion will be fostered from them, right? And something that my dad told me when I was 16, because I had supportive parents, dad told me that I didn't need to know everything. I just needed to be skilled enough to surround myself with experts in their field and know how to hear their advice and actually adopt it and be coachable. And I'm very fortunate that I have had experts in their respective field on some level since I was 16 years old, helping guide and shape me. So, having supportive family has absolutely helped me, but there were other people along the path that were also cheering for me all the way around. So just continue to build that community that understands and supports that passion.
For me, Joe, it was really Franz Valencia, the same cohort that you were part of. For me, that was who that was. You know what I mean? So my 2 cents on the subject. My parents initially, they, of course, unconditional love, they fed me, clothed me, of course, right? My parents love me, but the whole business aspect, they had their worries. My whole thing to explain it to them is, hey, if you don't support me, I don't want to have resentment towards you later on. If I followed you and I'm like, all right, let me listen to mom and dad, I don't want to hate you later on when I'm stuck in something I don't want to do. And I want to have unconditional love for you when I, put you in your grave. I want to leave that with a heart that's just full of love. I don't want anything else. Oh, she did, or he did that to me. I don't want that. I just want to give you back to who your creator would love. And that was my thing. So if people are struggling with their parents, your parents are humans, you know what I mean? And if you can't communicate to your parents, you can't communicate to nobody. They're your family and blood. And I know there's some toxic ass parents out there. I get it. But there are people too, and let them know, hey, I don't want to hate you later on. Don't let me do what I want to do. But Brandon, please take it away.
Yeah, so ever since I was small, I've always never cared what people thought of what I wanted to do, or I didn't care about other opinions. I always had a goal was going forward and doing what I wanted to do. That was just me as I grew up. But so like when I wanted to do this thing, my parents, so I know a lot of people have parents that are not supportive of things like doing things outside the box. But the thing is, my parents are also people that did things outside the box. So that's what helped me do what I wanted to do, because of my parents so much support. And I know people don't have support, but like my parents gave me so much support on doing something different. And also helped too, because my family on my dad's side are very like musical and creative. They're in bands right now. They're touring in Sri Lanka right now. They have like I'm half Sri Lankan, and my dad's family and everything, they have a full band and they're touring Sri Lanka doing their own thing, doing their whole musical thing. So like that's what also helped with me too, because they're doing creative things. They're doing they also left the box and just did music full time. My dad did his own thing and doing this full time. So that helped me. That gave me a lot of motivation and courage just to do what I wanted to do, because they want to do what they want to do. They got it. I wanted to do what I wanted to do, so then I got it. But yeah, it's really hard when parents don't have, when that person doesn't have their parents back on what they wanted to do. Because I know people will be like, well, all right, then I'm just gonna do what my parents want me to do, and then you're just living in a hole where like you're just like not happy on what you're doing. For me, I want to do something in my life that I'm happy about. I want to be happy to go to work and happy and love what I do. I don't want to just do this because my parents said this. For me, like I just wanted to do what I wanted to do. I wanted to work where I wanted to work. So for me, like that's just my personality, and like what helped with the parents and everything. They helped a lot for doing what I wanted to do today even. So yeah.
So that's great. Like, I think, having your parents support is a huge plus, but and then like, I think the relationship with your parents is built, right? From when I was younger, like me and my parents had conversations, want to make this relationship work for you. So I kind of, when people ask me, I try to tell them like, sometimes you gotta, I mean, I'm not saying cut your family members off, but I think sometimes people need to. And I've seen it happen, and I've seen that some people have grown from doing it because, and we don't recognize that, and we label them as family, and so we keep them in our circle, in our inner circle, and we let them kind of dictate our lives. And I think it's important to kind of analyze that you only have like one life, and we're all gonna end up dead in the end. So it's like, do you want to live the life that someone toxic wants you to live, or do you want to like live the only life that you have to live the way you want it?
I just saw a movie. My girlfriend currently really, she told me that she loved the movie, so I just saw it with her. It's called The Big Sick, and a secondary plot of this movie is dealing with this, where you have a Pakistani comedian who, I forget the guy's name, but he's famous. He's going to be one of the next Avengers right now. I mean, the guy's famous now, but this was back when he was still doing stand-up comedy, and he was telling his parents, "Oh yeah, I'm taking my LSATs. I'm getting ready to be a lawyer," and totally not. And also, "Oh yeah, I'll date a Pakistani woman, but in love with a white woman instead." And so like it goes through that relationship and shows him struggle through it. And so could be an interesting reference point. But I think that again, your parents love you, and there is toxic relationships, and yeah, there's conflict that has to be overcome, but having real and authentic conversations is probably the best way to deal with it. A lot of times your passion, when it's unleashed, it's addicting, and other people see it and they want to continue on. And I know, like, even if in my case, I still got an electrical engineering degree because I wanted to learn about electronics and about the physics inside of that. So I still went to school, even though that degree didn't get me my job. right? The vocabulary allows me to have conversations that are important related to the field that I'm in now. But if my parents had wanted me to be a doctor, I could have still applied to be a doctor later on. I probably would have had to do more work or something, but like there might be some kind of compromise where, okay, I'm going to go to school for this thing, and this thing gives me these other paths. Like I said in the beginning of the story, you know, like I wanted to be able to start a company, get a job as an engineer, or get a PhD. Well, the path I took gave me those 3 routes, and it just happened to be that I only actually pursued one of them, but there were 2 other options that are still waiting in the wings. They still are waiting in the wings, right? So, you know, maybe there's a compromise, and it doesn't have to be so black and white. In fact, there's a way for you to pursue your passion, whether that be doing stand up on a Friday night at a random coffee shop where that gives you your fill and your passion, but you can still have backup plans and strategically position yourself so that, you know, your family life doesn't implode either. For me, family is really important. So trying to find a way to reconcile those relationships has to be a forefront.
For sure.
So guys, that was episode 4 of the Pathfinder Show. Today, we talked about unconventional paths. We had 2 very unconventional guests, and I want to thank them for being on here. Guys, like I said just now, you guys are more than welcome to come back. I wanted to thank you guys for providing tremendous value back to the show. For all the audience members out there, go check out the link in the description. Go give us that like, that comment, you know, subscribe. Let us know what we can change. And if you guys really enjoyed this, give that 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. I mean, just do it. You know what I mean? And also, if you guys wanted to share this with someone, if this podcast provided value, please share this with a family member or a friend. Anyway, before we end off, I want to ask Brendan and Joe one last thing. If you guys have anything you want to sell or anything you want to give back to the community, or let them know what you're doing now, where can we find you? What are you doing? What are you trying to sell? Please take this time.
Like I said, my name is Joe Sleppy. I'm the CEO of Capicitech Energy, and we're building a wire-shaped flexible energy storage device that is designed to go where supercapacitors have never gone before, which is off of the circuit board where they're typically found and into the world's infrastructure. So inside of a wiring harness to an electric vehicle, or maybe it's actually a necklace for a wearable device, and that's the battery instead of having the battery inside the device itself. You know, so we're starting to see a lot of interest in smart city, IoT devices, electronics, wearables, renewable energy sources, and it's been really exciting. So if you'd like to learn more about it, check us out on our website, capacitechenergy.com. We're also available on LinkedIn at Capicitech Energy. And if you're more interested in hearing more about me and following me in my life, you can find me on Instagram at Joe_Sleppy, SLEPPY. I love giving back and helping others. So if you'd like to reach out and ask me any quick questions, I'd be happy to try and get back to you and offer my support and my love.
Nice. And I'm Brandon Perera, owner of SnapXEvents. If you guys ever get married or just need some music videos or anything, just shoot me a message. My website is SnapXEvents.com. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube. All my links are on my website. And yeah, right now business is paused for 2 more years, and then we're back on track.
And we'll leave Capicitech and SnapX in the description below if you guys want to go check it out. Anyway, this has been the Pathfinder Show. My name was Avi.
And I'm Valentina.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.